there's an awful lot of nonsense written about net zero on all sides. And when I saw this article about this C40 group, I thought, genuinely, I thought it was a spoof. I thought it was a Mickey take of the sort of mad measures that net zero advocates will be looking at. But genuinely, this is a radical vision of the net zero future actually being advocated. You know, these are the sort of policies that city mayors and governments could bring in, which would help bring down global emissions and bring us down to hit net zero targets by 2020, and would genuinely involve the radical move: abolition of private vehicles, no meat and dairy consumption, new items of clothing being rationed to 3 per year, and a restriction on short-haul return flights to 1 every 3 years. Slashing the use of steel and cement in construction, so basically building everything from wood wherever you can, and the like. Now, I mean, what did you make when you saw this?
Well, like you, I thought it was a Mickey take, but no, these people are actually very serious. I'd love to see the makeup of these 96 mayors from around the world. I would guess, Julia, they're probably rather left-leaning.
No.
I can but imagine many are using this whole net zero ambition as a means of control. It's a means of trying to create some type of socialist revolution that they haven't been able to create through other means. And I'm starting to look through a lot of these net zero ambitions through those lenses. But these type of proposals would make Aldous Huxley and George Orwell blush. Yeah. I think it'd even make Chairman Mao blush in his old Cultural Revolution. I mean, this is a dystopian world, and you cannot believe that there are people who actually think this is their ambition of politics. My ambition of politics is to make people freer, to make them more wealthy, to make their lives more comfortable. But these people seem to want absolute control on this new altar of net zero.
This is the thing. And people think that, we're told this lie. I mean, there's some absolute nonsense spouted by Keir Starmer earlier this week about how, no one is even questioning that, more clean power will mean lower energy bills. I mean, absolutely. I mean, literally no one is suggesting that is the case. Who knows anything about these issues? But when we look at the net zero targets, people are under some illusion that, it's going to mean just some fiddling around with energy, and you might need to have a heat pump, you might need to have an electric car. That doesn't even touch the size. Even if that was A, desirable, and B, achievable, given our current energy mix, if that was actually even possible, that wouldn't even touch the size of our ability to hit the net zero target by 2050. Because even the Climate Change Committee, this official, completely unaccountable, unelected body, by the way, that basically, drives this mission forward, even they have, outlined what would be necessary for us to achieve those targets. And it doesn't just mean a bit of outsourcing of manufacturing. It does actually mean a massive change in the way we live our lives. The affordability of meat, the affordability of foreign travel, the affordability of, as I say, your ability to travel, even within, your own city. And we've seen these, low traffic neighbourhoods is one thing, 15-minute cities, being fined effectively for travelling out of your little area. And the thing is, there is this dystopian idea from a number of people on the green side of things, where they basically think that the industrialisation of the world has been a terrible thing, and that we should go back to some, I would say, fairly mythical idea of some sort of, rural idyll in which we all live in these little sort of hamlet villages, and live off the land, and we don't do mass consumption or have any plastic, and that'll be fine. The trouble is, that was a time when people died at the age of 30, and women had 8 children, and half of them died before the age of 1. These people, they terrify me.
Well, I'd love to know whether this group of 96 mayors in the C40 group, I bet there are none there from China, India, Indonesia, or any of the growing...
Of course not.
Who believe, quite rightly, that cheap energy, and they're all going gangbusters for cheap energy, not least China, building coal-powered stations that are, once a week. And you overlay all this with what we do in the UK, who seem to be at the forefront of this, willing to spend £3 trillion on the decarbonisation of the UK. Never mind that these ambitions can never actually be met in realistic terms. And we're responsible for 1% of the output of the UK. As I regularly say, a meteorite could hit us tomorrow, heaven forbid, and we would be a mere rounding error in the CO2 output of the world. And as you quite rightly say, cheap energy, industrialisation, capitalism, dare I say, if I'm allowed to say capitalism.
We do not use the C word on this show.
has actually taken more people out of poverty than any other means of administering our communities, societies and civilizations. And I really rather wish we'd get back on that track, because it's the reason that I'm carrying a lovely spanky smartphone is a result of capitalism. And all of the things that we take for granted are a result of capitalism. And this has been my big concern about the net zero ambitions. It's pushing us into technologies that we don't want, that don't work very well. And yeah, I suppose if you're a builder of the future, you better start getting your wattle and doorbell and getting a pile of manure to the new.
But this is the thing. This is the thing about the net zero movement. I mean, Greta Thunberg, said the quiet bit out loud when she talked about how she was basically in favour of socialism, as anti-capitalist, anti-consumerism. Yeah, no, I don't think it's a good idea. Everyone wanders around with a new plastic bottle every half an hour of water. I don't know why people feel the need to drink water every 3 seconds. If human beings needed to drink water every 3 seconds, we'd have died out many millennia ago. But there's a difference between sort of randomly, everyone buying a whole new outfit every week. But people want to do that. That's entirely their choice, in my view. Well, but this hair shirtism, there is so much in this movement which is anti-progress, anti-development, anti-wealth, capitalism, and a lot of that is also anti-freedom.
Well, it is. It's another means of control. I mean, people often think, oh, well, Craig, you're some sort of anti-environmentalist. Not at all. I want to leave this planet in a better place than we found it. I think there's lots can be done on trying to eliminate single-use plastics. I'm all in favour of circular economies and recycling things and just being generally sensible. And I'll tell you why I'm sensible, because I'd rather like to have money in my bank account rather than throwing it away on things I don't really need.
Indeed. Can I ask you just finally, on a different matter, because I've only got a couple of minutes left with you, can I ask you about Russell Brand, but specifically related to YouTube, announcing today they've suspended the monetisation of his YouTube channel. He's got 6.6 million subscribers. That's how he makes a lot of his money. They say he's violated their creator responsibility policy. Now, we had, back in January 2021, our YouTube page for Talk Radio, as it was then, was taken down. We were told that we had violated responsibility policy. Of course, we hadn't at all. It was put back up within 12 hours. And basically, it was over conversations regarding lockdown, vaccines and COVID. Perfectly responsible conversations. We were accused of misinformation and disinformation. What do you make of YouTube's decision?
Well, I've not really got into the Russell Brand story. He's not a character I ever liked. I could never be bothered to watch him, frankly. But, he had a right to exist. But, I am concerned about this, just cancelling people on the basis of accusations. I'm very concerned about that. If he's been arrested, charged by the police, and all of those normal things that we expect if you're accused of heinous crimes, well, that's in a different space. But at the moment, I'm very wary of taking people down, taking them out of society. They're banning them really based on early accusations. There may be a lot of fire here amongst the smoke. I don't know. I really don't know.
But that's the key thing. Most people don't, and yet they're forming an opinion, aren't they? Craig,
this is the police matter.
Thank you very much, Craig Mackinlay, Chair of the Net Zero Scrutiny Group, Tory MPs, 8:47 is the time. This is Talk Breakfast.